Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose and plan. We have a very interesting topic we'll talk about today. I was going to go talk about God in Women See God in You and the Go Forward to Paradise by Tyrone, David, Gospel Ninja, and Scott Allen. I'll probably do that a little bit later. But we had so many people talking about releasing and talking about how do you get back on track. So let's kind of focus on that one today. First, thank you for all the comments, donations. Alvin, thank you once again for your donation. I appreciate that, my friend. God bless you, and God bless everybody who's been donating. I appreciate that. Also, thank you for the comments. A couple quick shout outs here. Stefan Allard. Allard talked about the pelvic exercise, and I will kind of focus on that a little bit too, to kind of stop, all those type of things that, in releasing as you're getting excited, things like that. Tech God Jets, thank you for your comment. Ellis Jackson, Bruce Warner, makes 75 hours per day. I guess that's a person too, so thank you. Dex, 1 year, congratulations, Dex, keep going. Nolan Martino, Truth Seeker, thank you, my friend. Levi, and A4H. Thank you guys for all your comments. I appreciate those, and we'll continue talking about those different topics you guys have kind of submitted. All right, so as we talk about this, let's focus really, guys, on the idea of our energy first. And Warriors, this is really important to look at. I think certainly as we look at this, one of the things to recognize is God has blessed each and every one of you. The reason you're listening to me, the reason we're talking about this is because you have an abundance of energy. God has blessed you, in my opinion, with abundance of energy. It is overpowering. A few people talking about that you just can't control it. It is a superhuman power. And especially some of you guys in your 20s and 30s, this is not easy, my friends. And I know I went through many years of it. You are blessed with a tremendous amount of sexual energy. That's the first thing you got to say and think about. The fact that you can have children and have multiply, be fruitful and multiply. God has given you that ability to have abundance of energy. It is a superpower. I've had some comments over the last week or so talking about Daniel Smith, full of energy. Yes. Eduardo, like a fire in a cold room. Yes, that's exactly right. This is high level energy. It is so powerful that it's not easy to control. And really, once again, the fact that people are attracted to you, the fact that you're refocusing, the fact that you have strong health and you feel like you're a god, in a sense, is because you are a superhuman. You're controlling this powerful force inside of you instead of just giving it away for nothing and not even having any children or not progressing the society at all, and you're not doing God's purpose. You're sitting around and just releasing anytime you want to. So let's kind of focus on this a little bit. The first thing to understand is that this is a powerful force, and this needs to be controlled. And that's going to be the key to this. It may take a while. It took me almost 50 years to start learning how to control this thing. And yes, I'm at 938 days, but monk mode didn't go too well, and who knows how long I'll be able to do it this time. I think I'm at 160 days or something like that. But it's not easy. It's not easy. I struggle with this. And I at my age, 61, I have a voracious energy level still. And it's not easy to control. But remember, the thing about it, and we've had some people talking about this too, and we'll talk about this. Justin says Christ should come before SR. That's true. 100% agree. The reason we talk about this is because we're assuming you're strong with the Lord, your God. And you have to kind of look at that first, because I think if you're strong with that, Lord will also provide you a way as you're thinking about this to try to overcome this. But just remember, this power is unbelievable. It is a force stronger than 300 Spartans. It is a strong force, but you have to learn, as we all do, each one of us, how to control it. So, as our Eduardo talked about, there's a tempting trap here that we have to avoid. It almost like paralyzes you, which is what other people are experiencing too. When they see you, they see this ball of energy. I just happened to have it a few minutes ago. A young woman, 23, maybe 24, getting out of the car. I'm looking at a woman and she's waving and smiling. And I don't even know who this person is. It's because they sense that energy. They sense that energy. And I think some people talked about the fact that it's just too much. Someone mentioned that a couple times, and I haven't gotten to the comments for this week, but I did notice a couple comments that recently like that. It is just too much. It's almost like you have an overabundance of energy. Now, this is great, in my opinion, as a warrior. What you got to do, however, and this is why we talk about this in the sense of self-control and self-discipline, why we take cold showers, why we have intermittent fasting we're recommending, why we have the right diet, and in my case, staying away from carbohydrates and staying with, and not the sugars, and staying more with the proteins, and trying to stay with some vegetables and things like that, and trying to work out and exercise and meditate and all these things is because we want to add to the discipline. You're learning self-discipline. It starts with Christ. It starts with your God. If in my case it's Christ. In your case, if you don't believe in Christ, there is a God that you should believe in, of course. And so this is who it should start with. You have to have that belief that someone's going to help you with this, and someone more powerful than the force you have. And so God has given you that force, and so you have to believe in something that's bigger than that to be able to help you with that, because you can't do it by yourself all the time. But you know the direction, you know the plan. And so the whole idea is to stay away from that idea. Now, what are we talking about here? Eduardo talks, another good comment. Lust is the root of all evil. Lust is part of this, but how we start the lust is the key. And Shubham Sharma was talking about why do we release under semen retention. Let's first talk about why we release, and then let's talk about how we can overcome that. And I think I've commented all the ones that I wanted to kind of add to this as we talk about this. Let me see if there's anybody else that I'm looking at here. Aphrodisiac, someone asked me about that. We'll talk about that in a separate one. But Hugh Mangus also talked about what are some powerful alternatives to risk not losing so much progress. We'll talk about that in a second as we talk about how to overcome this. Okay, so as we talk about this, let's talk first. Why do we release? Well, we're releasing because of a couple things that happen. Now, lust is part of this. That lust could be in your heart, and you have to work with your God to try to overcome that lust. And you do that certainly by getting more into the Word, in my case, the Bible, get into the ideas of what God wants you to do, get preoccupied, find hobbies if you have to, find exercises, things to do to get your mind away from the angle of just having to have women all the time. But now also remember, and we talked about this in a couple previous videos, that the paralyzation comes from men because men basically are voyeurs at the beginning of the process. Women tend to be exhibitionists. And so what ends up happening, this is what Hugh Hefner said, women tend to want to get the attention, and so they look beautiful, and it's been like this for thousands of ages. Men are voyeurs. Men are the ones who are looking at the physical beauty, and that's what they see first. So, because most men won't approach something unless it's physically beautiful. Women know that, and so there's an illusion there that occurs. But it's because it's in the eyes. It's this thing you see. You see it first, and then the mind kicks in, and all of a sudden that energy we talked about the other day, and we talked about the Da Vinci talking about how the brain can actually kind of get smaller over time if you're releasing all the time. The brain filters in and says, okay, let's go down to the chakra, reproductive chakra, and now you're going to get excited. Which is why pictures and photographs and actual live people, women, they're very attractive because we see that from a physical standpoint, but we see it through the eyes first. This is why we talk about the whole idea of having the birds. I give the analogy, the birds flying overhead. You can't let them sit there and nest. So as you look at the issue, your eyes are first the key. And you have to focus your eyes on other things. Now, yes, you're going to have times where it's going to sit right in front of you, like it happened a few minutes ago. But you can also sit and say, okay, I know it happened. I'm not a, perfect human being. Yes, it attracted me, and yes, it got me excited. And that's why monk mode is so hard. I mean, I really struggle with monk mode because it's going to, with such a tremendous force. This is not easy, and I think Alan, a few other people mentioned this in comments. It's not easy, my friends. This is why we have the 1% Club. This is not easy at all. Monk mode is my struggle because I'm at 61, and I just have a tremendous amount of energy, and that's just because of a number of different things. The Fountain of Youth exercises from Kelder we talked about. Also, just the amount of appreciation I have, for the blessing God has given me. So it is a struggle. But remember, there's things you can do to stop it. If it happens to you, don't get to the next step. Stop yourself. Always back your mind saying, okay, I might get tempted and I might get extra excited, but let's transfer it like we talked about in the right number 6 when it comes to the Fountain of Youth and taking deep breaths up. And holding one, I hold one nostril and open the other one. Continue to breathe deeply, and your oxygen from your body goes in your brain, and all of a sudden you'll forget about that temptation for that period of time. And then move away from it as fast as you can. Don't entertain it. Try to control it. This is not easy. That's why I broke monk mode at one point. It's not easy. So I want to emphasize that. So don't be so hard on yourselves, warriors, if you release. There's 2 things happening. A, it shows you just have a tremendous amount of energy. And B, you're recognizing that you have to try to learn how to control this. I mean, God has given you this for a reason, to create children and to procreate and do things in the world. Why do you think the pyramids were built? Why do you think all these great buildings were built over the centuries? Tremendous achievements that we've had in mankind. Men have had tremendous ability. I'm not downplaying women at all, but men have that huge level of energy to get these things done physically, protecting people, protecting countries, protecting families. It's a strong force. So I can't emphasize it enough. Now, what happens when you actually, and I think this is Shubham Sharma, thank you for the questions. Thank you. Shout outs for Eduardo again. Shubham, Justin, thank you for your comment as well, and Alan as well, and Hugh, thank you guys very much for your comments on this topic. The idea, guys, is that we're focusing on how now to go back. So think of this, guys, in terms, first of all, get away from that temptation. You may have released, just get away from it, move on. Don't be down on yourself. Yes, you broke a streak, but as we talked about, this is a lifestyle change. This is not a streak. The only reason, like I said, the only reason I even counted is just to kind of see where the benefits are and how the benefits are going over time. And like I said, monk mode, I struggle with monk mode, and I'll be perfectly honest. That's a tough one for me to have anything more than 100 or 200 days, because you have such a voracious energy that you want to use. And so you have to be very careful with that. But as it comes to releasing things like that, remember in the back of your mind, this is your health you're talking about. You're losing power. You're losing energy. Those things you can't get back that easily. It takes, 72 days to build semen? We talked about that fact. I think someone had brought that up somewhere. It takes time. And so it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And the more you lose it, the more weaker you get, the more you're a victim of things like depression, anxiety, loneliness. All these things happen because you're not keeping that nutrients. Now, so you have to get away from this. Get away from the situation, even though you released, and now it's time to start again. Well, let's go back to how you started again. Obviously, in your back of your mind, you know this is important. You realize, okay, I released, it's over, let's move on. Let's get to another step in the process in which we're going to start this again. And yes, I did this for, what, 40 some years? So I understand how difficult this is. I understand the powerful force this is, warriors. But this is why you're warriors. This is why we call it Vigor warriors. This is a power that has got to be tamed like a wild horse, a lion, an animal. And you got to contain it. Now, and use it, transmute it for the right reasons. And this is where the key comes in. So don't be down on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if you release. Those things will happen. On the other hand, don't embrace that and say, okay, well, it's great, let's go do it again. No, you have to stop and say, look, I know this is wrong, and you'll feel, I know I felt bad after doing it. You know you'll feel bad. You'll know when you do it because you'll feel bad about it. Down deep, something will tell you that you shouldn't have done it. But first of all, God forgives you. He understands what you're going through. He understands that He will help you go through it. Once again, a step at a time. I know it took me many years, but I think God had a reason for that. And maybe doing these videos, maybe helping other people, maybe that was the reason. But it was not easy all the way those years. I had no clue why I was going through all this. But I do realize the blessing that God gave me with the great S power, I used to call it. Right? Unbelievable power you have. But also, once again, we go back to Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. So how do you get back on track? Well, take it one day at a time, first recommendation. Get away from those tempting situations, second recommendation. Fill your time with other things to do during the day. That means if you're working, we're going to work. You're not going to be releasing at work, right? Projects, do some projects. Now today I'm painting part of the house. I'm on break right now. So painting part of the house, the basement, okay? Get yourself involved in activities so you can transmute that energy into something else. Be active. Don't sit around watching TV when you're in this type of state especially, all right? Get something done. Do something. Then I would say at night, go to bed early or go to bed. Don't stay up late because most times people will release at night, especially if they're watching TV or those type of things. It's so much easier to do that at night. For whatever reason, I don't know what that reason is, but so much easier. So go to bed early, get up until you get control of this. Now, after a couple days again, you'll start feeling different again. You'll go back to the mode. And it's almost like nothing happened. But remember, every time you release, you're losing energy. And you don't want to do that. Use the energy in the right way. And don't be scared of all the myths out there, I believe, and it goes back to the medieval times of people, worried about the health and things like that. The fact that you have a working, great system of energy, and it's flowing through your system, and you're doing all the right things, drinking a lot of water, things like that, you're going to have a huge, unbelievable energy level. And people are going to see that. This is why even the most hardened woman you're looking at, who may not even like you, she'll smile at you. She'll recognize the energy. It's like a force, like a nuclear bomb sitting there. And I don't know how else to explain this, but guys, it's so much energy that women can't take it sometimes. And that's why they won't directly look at you, because they can't take that energy. It's just flying. And you may not see it. And I know we'll talk about, Scott Allen had a nice talking about aura, talking about, I think it was Blissful Oasis too. We're going to talk about that. Aura you have that's just overwhelming. And people can't take that. So you have to examine. And some people are going to get mad at that too, because they can't take it. And they look at you and say, who the heck is this? It's almost like they don't know what hit them. And somebody's mentioned that too. So we'll go back to a video on that one. So guys, in summary, remember, first of all, this is a unbelievable force you are blessed with. A, you're blessed with it. Second, you recognize you're blessed with it. A lot of people don't recognize they're blessed with it. Third, you have to understand that now you have to learn to control it. Like Spider-Man says, great responsibility, great power. Now you have to say, okay, how am I going to contain this and use it, transmuting it? If it's sitting there, it's going to blow up at some point. You know that. But you got to transmute it. You got to use it. Find things to do. Work out. Exercise. Do projects. Make sure you get enough rest. Things like this will continue to hold your control level. And as you do it more, all of a sudden now you get more confident again day by day. And here comes that same feeling you had, even though yesterday you might have released. All right, my friends, enough for today. I'll try to do one tonight on women seeing God in you. I like that concept, and it's probably as much to do with the energy level of God and how they appears to people. And it may be something that there's a lot of truth in. So we'll talk about that next episode. Until next time, guys, have a great day. And remember, every day is a new day to a wise warrior. God bless you guys, and get that force and battle on, my friends. Battle on!